Today is Wednesday, March 11th, and it's a new White Sox report here on Just Another Year Chicago White Sox. Kyle Teel was injured in the World Baseball Classic last night. General Manager Chris Getz spoke this afternoon with an update. The White Sox offense is hot to start spring, and a random baseball fact that the White Sox accomplished on Monday against the Rockies. But first, if you're ready for White Sox baseball, hit that like button and comment "Go Sox" down below as we get ready for the start of the regular season. Kyle Teel last night was injured in the World Baseball Classic for Team Italy against Team USA last night. He left in the sixth inning with hamstring discomfort in his right hamstring as he was rounding first base on a double he hit down the right field line. Teel also homered early in the game, and Sam Antonacci had another fantastic game as the young White Sox players for Team Italy really made a huge impact on their victory over Team USA last night. General Manager Chris Getz spoke with the media a little bit ago and said Teel will be out 4 to 6 weeks, which will cut into the start of the regular season. It's an unfortunate injury for the White Sox. One, we can't seem to avoid these soft tissue injuries over the last few years. I don't understand why this keeps happening. It's so random. But to all the people who are like, get rid of the World Baseball Classic, it doesn't matter, they don't care, like, this could have very easily happened in Arizona in a Cactus League game, just as easily. It was super random. He was rounding first base going into second. You don't think he'd be running hard in a spring training game? Of course he would. Could very easily happen. And so I still think it's a great event, and we just got to figure out a way to get teams to allow their pitchers in to pitch more, because not enough pitching is the root of the issue, especially for Team USA. So that's one thing I'd like to see changed going forward. But for Kyle Teel, he avoided the worst. We saw him out on the field celebrating with Team Italy last night after the victory. There was a video after the game with Vinny Pasquantino asking where the wine was, where Teel was smiling and laughing along with the team and walking in. He was in full uniform. These are good signs. But as I said, Chris Getz said, he'll miss 4 to 6 weeks with a grade 2 hamstring strain. So what does this mean? It means Corey Lee is going to make the roster. So that makes the decision-making process a little easier for the White Sox, because Corey Lee is definitely a major league quality catcher. Edgar Caro, this is a great opportunity for him to get some real runway at the beginning of the season, because Teel will have to most likely go on a rehab stint when he returns from his injury. So I would expect him to be out until at minimum the middle of April, probably early May, before we see him in Chicago. The calculus, I guess, the one positive for that is it makes it a lot easier. It also definitely underscores the need for Corey Lee to be part of the White Sox roster. Because he's out of options, they can't send him to AAA and keep him in the organization. So if they don't keep him on the roster, he's going to get picked up on waivers by somebody. So I think that's a clarifying moment for White Sox fans as well as for the organization, that we know that Kyle Teel is super important and Edgar Caro is super important. But we also, I think, underscore Corey Lee is an important depth piece for the needs to be on the roster. So they'll have to figure out how that shakes out throughout the month of April and into May until we see the return of Kyle Teel and the young catching duo we are all so excited about. Please share and subscribe to the page. First goal is 100 subscribers. We need 59 to get there. And then on to the spring training side of the White Sox. The offense is extremely hot. They scored the 5th most runs in all of Major League Baseball this spring, and it's really been a fun thing to watch the White Sox offense in spring. I know spring training stats don't mean a ton, but when it's up and down the organization, it does underscore that there's depth there and that there's strength within the organization. It really helps seeing, just why the AA team in particular keeps winning, and that's because of the influx of young talent. So the spring offensive ranks, they are 5th in runs, 1st in hits, 4th in OPS, and 5th in stolen bases. And this shows a lot of growth in, I think that the offense being so young, there's a good opportunity for growth and for a lot of guys to outperform their projections going into the 2026 season. It's really, as I mentioned, a great show of the depth in the offensive side of the organization. You got guys all over, will be in AA, AAA, that we're seeing in Major League Camp. Guys who White Sox fans want to see as soon as possible, like Sam Antonacci, who has been fantastic in the spring and really was unbelievable last night. I mean, John Smoltz's comments talking about how great his instincts were on a close wild pitch that allowed him to score really say a lot about the player and that baseball makeup that you're looking for. He also hit a rocket 2-run homer and just looks like a guy who's close to ready. I would be stunned if we see him on the opening day roster, as he really hasn't played much above high A. Same thing with Braden Montgomery. Now, he's obviously not playing in the World Baseball Classic, but he's been strong in spring as well. And it really can give the White Sox an opportunity to have kind of these waves of players coming up throughout the season. They really punted on the outfield this offseason, so I have to hope and imagine that they're going to work on developing some of these shortstops and middle infielders into outfielders in the minor leagues, because we have a flood of talent on the infield, which is great, but the outfield is a giant black hole. And you hope Brooks Baldwin can take a big step. The hope is Luis Angel Acuna takes to center field well. And then you've got Austin Hayes and Andrew Benintendi, who, they're decent, veteran major leaguers. I think that when you look at Austin Hayes, he mashes left-handed pitching, but we don't have a ton of pop in the outfield whatsoever. And we need to see more of that in order for the White Sox to be contenders. So I think all of these guys who we're seeing play throughout spring, you can have a chance to develop them and bring them up with a chance to really impact the roster going forward. Hopefully that's later this season, but going into 2027, maybe you can bring in some free agents or make some trades for guys who can provide more of that offense out there. And then a fun thing that the White Sox did this week, in Monday's game against the Rockies, they scored 11 runs in the 4th inning. In the middle of that, they hit 3 triples in 1 inning. That is an extremely rare feat. And it hasn't happened for the White Sox since August 16th of 1995, and it hasn't happened in all of Major League Baseball since June 24th of 2016, when the Cleveland Indians did it to the Tigers. Obscure baseball events and obscure baseball facts are really a big part of what makes the sport fun. And I love those random stats. Jason Stark of The Athletic does a great column during the season of wacky and wild baseball stats that is a must read for all baseball nerds like myself every week. So we'll try to provide a little bit of that with a White Sox context for you this season, and hope you stick around for the ride. As always, go White Sox.